It looks like our bit range just isn't doing very well right now. But there's not much I can do about that, unfortunately. Sort of a problem on Twitch's end, not really mine. But we'll make do with what we've got. But either way, it's lovely to see you here, Ella. Oh, well, I hope so. Let's see, what is our random word that we are going to discuss? Forge. I've always thought of the process of smithing and creating metal was particularly romantic. We'll keep pushing on. Very true. We will definitely keep pushing on. And I've always thought that it's a very amazing thing, the ability to smith and forge new metals. And I have a particular respect for those people that can do that. I think that it's not only a true art, but I think that the process of forging and recreating new pieces of art and metal, it's certainly something that I've had a passion for the idea of before. Oh, I bet you anything that my stream is going to be in multiple pieces now. Oh, well. I guess that'll be alright. Just have a couple of videos up at once of it. But yeah, there is definitely a really interesting thing that happens when you heat metal up. Oh my gosh. All right. Hello? Can you hear me? Here, let me check my stream data. The connection is quite unstable, unfortunately. But there's not much I can do about that. Metal. It's certainly something that I've had a passion for the idea of. Forging is really cool. There's this show on Netflix called Forged in Fire, and it has this really interesting premise of basically having people forge these weapons in the middle of sort of a game show almost style. It's very reality TV though. And I've always found it to be interesting, the idea of having this great sort of mixture of people trying to do the same thing. It's pretty wonderful if you ask me. I hope you folks out there are all doing alright though, despite all of the inconveniences that are going on. I'm glad that you're in. Today is oh good. I'm glad it's evening out. But today is a lovely day, a long day to be precise, but lovely even so. But I have my new little stream set up on Second Life here, and it took me a little while, me and a friend, to get this up, and it is still very basic, as you can clearly see. No textures on the walls or anything, but I kind of like it that way. just to be honest. But yeah, it is just a little thing that I cooked up with a friend. And for the moment, I'm going to just enjoy it because I've already, set it up and got everything taken care of on my end, and so I can just actually take a time out to just look at it and get some real happiness from the work that's been done. But otherwise, I think it's really important to remember that I was inspired to do this by the people who have been there for me, mostly the people who have helped me at the beginning of my stream. And on top of that, this stream is only possible because of the people who keep coming back to view it. Without you fine folks, certainly I would not feel as enthusiastic about doing this show as I do feel right now. And for the moment, the show is, I think, still developing, as I've said before, but there is the possibility of having a guest in one of our later shows. Oh, thank you. This is something I cooked up with a friend of mine. Took me a little while to get the lighting right, though. But the concept of having... yeah, it's sort of a fireside chat kind of vibes going on, It's really interesting. And I'm getting into it. I'm still learning what kind of angle I'd like and where I'd like to see things, but certainly this is less controversial than having a copyrighted image playing, though I may enjoy those to some degree. We have to sort of make this work for our audience, for us people together. But let's get into story time. It took me a little while to actually get a story going because I got this book on Amazon, but it was mostly poems, and poems are fine, but they don't quite fit the theme of this stream. So I'm going to have to do something a little different. The first one is called The Mountain. My mother said that out of all 5 of her children, I was the easiest baby. I think what she meant was that I hardly cried, rarely fussed, and was generally asleep. Which I guess was a good thing for her. As the 4th of 5, she had a lot to deal with before she could get to me. So I made it easier for her. I kept doing it as I grew up. If one of my siblings dropped their ice cream, I'd give them mine so they'd stop making a scene. When someone had to sit in the middle seat, you can bet that's where my car seat would be strapped. In 5th grade, when Clara Gomez stole my cookie from my lunchbox, I just shrugged and ate my carrot sticks. My nickname was Montanita, Little Mountain, because I was never moved, never bothered, always calm. In 7th grade, I broke my leg, but I didn't tell anyone for 3 days. I just gritted my teeth and hopped along until my father found me crying on the bathroom floor. He took me to the hospital and bought me a cast we couldn't afford. And when kids at school called me a cripple, well, you can guess what I did. In high school, my little sister, Sophia, was getting picked on by some boys. I pretended I didn't see it happen, but that night I switched out her too small uniform skirt for mine. She stopped getting teased. And I wore pants for the rest of the year. When my college algebra professor lost my test and made me retake it, I just nodded and did it. When I got catcalled walking across campus, I just looked down at the ground. And you, the first day you came up to me and offered to buy me coffee, I was sure you were making fun of me too. So I stayed quiet. Eventually, you flashed me that blinding smile and told me, guess I'll take that as a yes then. I think I said about 3 words to you that first day, but I gave you my number and answered when you called. At first I thought I was just being shy towards you, but as the months went on and things got more serious, you started to get upset when I didn't tell you things, when I got fired from my part-time job and started skipping lunch to afford my textbooks. I didn't want to tell you because I knew it'd upset you. I was right, wasn't I? You were so mad when you figured it out. Here, you yelled, shoving money at me. Take it, I don't need it. You know I have a scholarship. You know my parents sent me money. Take the money. I just stood there. I'd never had someone yell at me while doing something so nice. When you noticed how stunned I was, you softened your voice. Please, it hurts me to see you starving yourself. Please take the money. For the first time ever, I talked back. Why? You laughed at me. Because I love you, you idiot. I took the money, but snuck most of it back into your wallet that night when you were asleep. For most of the time we dated, we never fought. Even when one of your friends tried to tell me you cheated on me. I know you hadn't. The friend was just a jerk. When he tried to tell me, I just stared at him. Didn't cry or yell or demand proof. That freaked the friend out a bit. He kept trying to convince me, but I stayed so calm he eventually gave up and admitted the truth. Later you told me you couldn't believe how amazing I was to trust you so much. The truth was I had no idea if it was the truth or not. I just didn't react because I knew if I did, it wouldn't change the outcome. And if I'd learned that staying calm in situations like that gave me the power. Our marriage, too, had very few fights. If you didn't take out the trash like you said you would, I didn't. And when you noticed I'd done your chores, you felt so bad that you'd do some of mine to make it up. When our children misbehaved, I never raised my voice or screamed or made a scene. I just asked them what they did, and eventually they'd cave. Our oldest told me once it'd be much less scary if I'd just shout at them like Dad did. I figured I'd stay like I was. Calm, quiet, a peacemaker, non-reactive, for the rest of my life. But you changed that. You jerk. When you died, oh, this is sad. When you died, it was like that frozen mountain of emotional outbursts inside of me melted all at once. Nobody expected it when I started screaming and sobbing at the funeral. My older brother tried to take me outside, and I punched him in the jaw. Whoa. I apologized later, of course. You'd hardly recognize me now, I think. It's a lot harder for me to stare blankly now and take things, because I keep remembering you saying, stand up for yourself. You deserve better, mi amor. And you're not here anymore to stand up for me. Or our kids. I don't know how to describe it exactly. What changed the moment you left this earth. But it's like I was blue one moment and red the next. Hard as ice before, I melted into a hurricane. I was a mess for a year or two, I think, before I managed to get everything under control again. But even now, I'm not like I was. I'm still calm and rational and think before I speak. But if anything or anyone threatens our children or their happiness, I know I have to be the one to protect them. And as anyone who's gone mountain climbing knows, the serene, snow-covered peaks that look so tranquil from a distance are the deadliest. Well, that story was a little bit sad there near the end. I liked it, though, generally. I'm gonna get another word for us. Urgency. So sometimes there are things in our life that cause us to feel that sense of urgency, right? Where it's like we can't quite stop quick enough or make things work quick enough. And sometimes it can seem like we're just not going to make it. Something that I do when I'm feeling that way is I let my emotions take over. I listen to them, I respond to them, and I feel them for whatever period of time I need to. Even if it's several minutes or even if it's quite a bit longer than that. I just take my time. I go slow, and I don't try to rush anything. Even though I feel like it sometimes, of course, everyone feels like rushing their emotions from time to time, but I just let them come. And sometimes I even bask in them and sort of enjoy the moment of them being so powerful and so effective on me, to a point where it almost feels like I don't have control. But losing that control and just feeling the emotions come and go, that's powerful in its own right. And I certainly have enjoyed a lot of moments where I didn't have any control, which is spiteful of some of my other thoughts and desires to have control. But, chaos can be a wonderful thing sometimes. Criticism. So I don't think I've ever taken criticism very well. I think for most of my life, I have been very resistant to criticism, to the point where it almost feels like I'm it almost feels like I am fighting it, if that makes any sense. I fight it because, to me, I always have this need, right, for a closeness to perfection, whatever that means. And perfection is, tricky because, you have to sort of see what's good enough as being perfect. You have to sort of accept that the things that you see in front of you, that exist in front of you, are as close to perfect as you can get. So you should accept them as being perfect the way they are. That took some time for me to understand, because I was always so interested in things being just exactly the way I wanted them to be. I had to grow up to some degree. And growing up can be very difficult. But you can overcome it. There is definitely a way to overcome every mountain, even if it's deadly. Zone. A cough drop will help me here. So I've spoken about this before. But something I do when I have a task ahead of me is I section it off into little pieces, and then I take on the pieces one at a time. It's the same with Dungeons and Dragons, with working with this stream even. I look at one little piece, and then I solve that problem, and then I move on to the next one. And I've done that for a little while. But I think the difficulty I have with this stream is trying to figure out what the tone is. Because, you know, we have tonal disparity from time to time, considering our most recent story from a few minutes ago was talking about death. A subject which isn't completely appropriate for this stream, but I think that these topics, while scary to some people, can be very refreshing to hear. Because, you know, I have not had a death in my family for a long time. For over 10 years. Which I am grateful for. But the person in my life who I lost was my grandfather. I'll talk about that a little bit right now. My grandfather was in the Navy. He was in the Navy for, I think, 3 years. I don't remember this exact number, but he was a very kind and very generous veteran. And he raised my father, and he raised me and my brother and my sister whenever we came over. And there was this game that he used to do. Just sometimes you just gotta be real. It's true. There was this game he used to do where he'd sit us on his knees, and then he would talk about a horse-drawn carriage and the different speeds that it would be going. And he would bounce us up and down, and we'd always fall off at the end or come close to falling off, but he'd catch us. I remember really being grateful to have a grandfather for a while. And I did have one for almost like 16, 17 years I had a grandfather. So I didn't get cheated out of it. I would have liked if he'd stayed alive longer than that because, you know, I'd like to actually speak to him as an adult and not as a child. But you don't usually get to have those experiences with your grandparents if your parents are already a little older. Because my parents had me when they were like in their 40s. So my grandparents were already pretty old. But I had them for a little while. And for the moment, I am just thinking about, you know, what we are doing right in this stream. I think what we're doing right is talking about things that matter to us. I think that there are a lot of different and interesting topics to discuss, and I think that having people here to listen, you know, you guys that follow or are interested, I think that's something that's very good for me. Because I like knowing that people have an interest in what's going on. And I try my best to give you guys some content that you can enjoy. Our next word is silk. Silk. I've thought about the kind of bed sheets that I'd like, if I ever get the chance to, have some really precious and really expensive or really nice bed sheets. And I don't know if I'd want silk, to be honest with you. Maybe silk packed with cotton, you know, so it's like kind of a thicker blanket, like a comforter. You know those Japanese blankets they have over the tables where you put your feet underneath and like you sit crisscross? Those always seem so warm, just from looking at them in different anime and TV shows. I don't know what they're called though. I'd like something like really, really soft though. I don't know how I feel about silk to be honest, but something that gets hot when it needs to and stays cold when it needs to, if you know what I mean. Because there's nothing worse than being overheated under a huge blanket. Just trying to escape, but also wanting the comfort and also wanting to sleep. It's a mess. It's like having a hot pillow. And you try to turn it over to get to the cool side of the pillow. That's what I try to do. That's what this show is all about, is being the cool side of the pillow. Ignorant. There have been a lot of things in my life that I've been ignorant of. There was a very long time where I was fairly ignorant of myself, to the point where I didn't really even know my own gender or my own interest in other people, romantically or more intimately. I was very uncertain of what I wanted to do, whether or not I wanted to be a voice actor or work at a pizza place. And I did work at a pizza place for about 2 months. You're right, Ella. You never want to be caught without a blanket, no matter where you are. You're always better off having something covering you, because you always feel a little safer. Like, no one can see, like, your body under the blanket, and you're just kind of like, oh, I'm secret and closed and safe inside of a blanket. It's a good place to be. And I worked at that pizza place, and it's not that I hated it or anything. I didn't have a good manager, unfortunately, but it was sort of a pain to have to actually try and make it work. I was good with the customers, and no one ever yelled at me, luckily, even though I made mistakes. There was one time I gave away a pizza to a random guy because he sort of gave this look like, oh, I'm here for a pizza. And I was like, is this your pizza? And he was like, yeah. He took it and left. Ah, man. Crazy. But I met some people and I made some friends. And I don't plan on ever going back. I plan on streaming my tuckus off and making this a viable business option for myself, because that is something that would be lovely for me, something that I would really want to fight for. Because you people out there, you're worth fighting for. I guess we'll get into our positive affirmations for today. So, it may not seem like it all the time. It may not seem like it even sometimes when it's supposed to. But you are worth fighting for. You are worth going to task for. You are worth that energy and that strength and that need to keep going, to move on. You are worth that. Really, no matter who you are, you can always have a better tomorrow, and you can always feel that you're changing and that things are moving. No matter who you are. Just remember, there are people that care about you, even if you don't know they're there. One of the most interesting things I think about mental health and about healing is that it is really important to remember that people are there. People are there to support you and to be there for you. And all you have to do is look for them. Sometimes they're in your real life trying to help you and you just don't see them. And sometimes they're in Second Life and they want to help you, but you just have to let them. But I've been in moods before where I just didn't want to be helped. So I understand how that could be too. I do get that. I think something I was very ignorant of is that I didn't have a good understanding of my path to healing, my way. And you have to know your way before you can love your way. And everyone's way is different. Something I had to learn was that my way is not the way of silence. I can't simply just bear this burden and keep going on as if nothing's happening. I have to share. And a part of art and brilliance and intellect can be suffering. And that's been important in my life. I used to be quite masochistic, to be honest. I would think that the only way I could achieve a form of enjoyment was through an intense suffering. And so I would put myself through these sufferings in some way or another. And they would be various in their degrees and in their theme and place of creation and their inspiration. But I would go through them, suffer through them, and then at the end I would almost always feel better because I knew I had gotten through a difficult time. A difficult time that I set up for myself, mind you. This is quite an unconventional way of making things work. And while I don't recommend it, there is something to be learned from this. It's that there is not just a silver lining, but a benefit and a boon to fighting through your troubles. To keeping on. Even when you feel like you're not going to make it. You can always push yourself a little further than you think you can. Because you never know your true limits. We got a cough drop down. Cough drop down. But yeah, it is tough sometimes, because there's a lot of negativity out there, and you don't always have a blanket with you to wrap yourself around in. Which, is tough because I love blankets as much as the next guy does. I love me a good blanket. But we have to fight regardless of having them or not. And we've been visited by a bot just a few minutes ago. I already deleted their message, but isn't that interesting? We've survived long enough for bots to come and try to scam us. It's interesting. I think I'm proud and honored by that, to think that we're being targeted. There's something to be grateful for there. It's a first step to something magnificent. But we are a slow-growing stream, and that's all right. We will grow precisely as quickly as we are supposed to. And for the moment, I think we're doing all right. Our next word is graze. So there have been times in my life where I have come really, really close to getting into a serious situation. A time where I was being targeted by a older woman. A time where I was in the depths of a form of self-destructive behavior. And there was a time when I felt like I wasn't going to be able to make it. But in these times, no matter what they were, no matter how I was feeling or what I was thinking or Yeah, I know, I know. I don't know if you saw that one, Ella, but they were there for a second. They were there for a second. Just for a little while. But yeah, uh, you know, I've been in bad ways before. I've been in real bad ways before. And, I've always made it through for some reason. Whether it being just being tougher than I think I am or being smarter than I give myself credit for. And really anybody could do what I'm doing, have their own stream or have their awesome little Discord with their friends. And it could be anybody. I feel really grateful that I have what I have already and that I am able to speak and enunciate and have a good actual basic skill to do this, because it's very likely that a lot of people want to have the natural talent that I possess, and not having that, I mean, oh, it's okay. You didn't miss much. They were just saying, you want famous, you want fame, you want Prime viewers, you want Twitch subs, all that stuff. It was very. It didn't show up on the screen chat very well. It was sort of messed up looking. But yeah, I mean, anybody could do what I'm doing right now. You have to have the right acumen to really make it work for you, but anyone could get here and get as far as I have, because I'm not very far, honestly. I don't think I've gone past the first pillar, the first milestone, which is just getting, you know, 10 followers and then however many to the next one, but that's not really measuring how good this show is, because, I mean, I don't calculate things based on that metric. Usually, I like to think about the things I'm able to talk about and the time I'm able to spend with you folks here. That's what I enjoy. But on top of that, on top of that, we get to have ourselves a lovely little time every Saturday where we're just sitting here enjoying our company, enjoying each other, and taking it easy. What I recommend is you all just find yourselves a nice little comfy place to relax and just take in the sights and the sounds and the softness, because we are in a lovely little room together, this growing and changing space that will inevitably be reshaped again by next time, and we have all this lovely, lovely time together. So the best thing we can do is try to come together and figure out what it is that we like, what it is that enthralls us and inspires us and brings us together. Something that inspires me is seeing people change for the better. Seeing people get over their issues and fight for themselves. That's the kind of energy I want to inspire with this stream. Because, I know it's mostly just me and a couple of friends talking to each other at the moment, but I do believe in the future this will become more popular, and I want to impart my wisdom onto the future people listening so they can go to sleep or they can relax with these positive affirmations going through sort of hypnotically. Though I'm not really much of a believer in hypnosis, to be honest with you. It's never really helped me. But I hope it helps you, whoever you are listening. But, that is the first, Ella, that is the first person I've had to ban. The first person. So, I guess that's the first milestone for that as well. The first ban. Very interesting. Let's look at our next word. Pool. Recognize. I like that one better. So, it is sometimes difficult to recognize when you're in a good situation or a bad situation, because you can really lose track of what's right and wrong when you're so deep inside of this crazy world trying to figure out what you'd like to do. I know I get that way because I'm really getting up there. Yeah. I guess you're right. Hey, I'm glad. It's a milestone of its own. And, finding good dynamics and good situations where you effectively and positively help each other, that's the kind of thing you want to work for. Because there's not that many things in life that are better than a good friend. And I have a surplus of those, luckily, which I am very grateful for. I think something that I'm also grateful for is having a strong mind and a healthy body. I would not say I'm in the best shape right now because the holidays and depression cause these things to be worse. But those are just reasons to really say, hey, I'm not an athlete for the moment, and I'm okay with that. But as far as mentally goes, I think I'm in a pretty good shape mentally. I think I'm doing pretty all right. Certainly, I have the help of many things to guide me, and I am grateful for those things. But on my own, I think I'm doing okay. Certainly, this is an important time in my life to be going into recovery in such a far and distinct layer and level. I hope that other people who are watching this stream are experiencing layers of recovery similar to this, because it is a very powerful thing to recover from depression. Unfortunately, there are so many people that don't make it there, but I am a representation of the possibility that everyone has to make it there, because the people who fight hard and work hard and are tireless and just go for it every time, all the time, those people, some of them came from these positions of such discomfort and annoyance and pain and suffering. I respect them for making it through to the other side. Because, honestly, it takes a crazy kind of cool person to be able to do that. Just like I think you find folk out there are pretty crazy cool. I think about other streamers and the kind of streams that I see going on. I think that, for the most part, a lot of the streamers that I enjoy are very chill. Not just that, but also they're very considerate and consistent in their chillness. And believe me, I've had moments of not being chill, but for the most part, I'm a fairly chill person. And I don't like to show myself being too extreme, though I have extreme views sometimes, just from being affected by mental illness. But for the most part, I'm a fairly mild-mannered person, though I do like to laugh a lot. But that's a sign of a healthy mind, is liking laughing. On top of that, though, I have been trying my very best to have good days, despite the negativity that I feel from time to time. And I think that is a very good sign as well. But as for you folks, I hope that you are having a lovely day and enjoying yourself immensely. And as I say that, just know that we have reached the hour moment of our stream. And if you are sitting down, if you have been sitting down this entire time, just go ahead and take a little stand and stretch out a little bit, get some water and hydrate, and we'll be back talking again in about 3 minutes. So take a little break and meet me in just a little while. I'll be out getting some water myself. Be right back. All right, and we're back. Yeah, we are certainly doing better than before. I am certainly doing better than before. I have a distinct feeling that I have a little bit of work ahead of me as far as figuring out what I'm going to be reading and doing on my daily streams for 2021. But you can expect things to change quite a bit for Cassius Mishima in 2021. And that includes daily streams. That also includes nighttime before bed streams. Just a moment. and things like that. These streams will mostly be dedicated to storytelling, because that is something I'm still quite interested in. Though understanding which stories I am going to tell is still something of a uncertainty for the moment. Though I do feel as if I'm closer than I've ever been before. It is still a strange thing to me, trying to understand what to say. But I think I'm doing alright. Doing my best. Oh my gosh. But yeah. I am really interested in seeing where things go for us in the new year. And I'd like to make sure that I can take you folks with me. Because you guys are the real stars here. You guys are the thing that makes this work. Having lovely viewers show up to give us a little talk and some feedback. That's what it's all about. There's quite a bit going on in the video game world recently, which is strange to see that and know that, but not have any impact or real skin in the game for that. I was really into video games for a while, but I changed my ways after having to require some work done on my elbow, considering the damage that it went through and the abuse it took year after year. It is a little sad because of how much of an avid gamer I was in the day, but now I just watch people play games and I'm satisfied with that usually. Which, it's its own thing. Alright, let's go on to our next subject. Embrace. So there are ideas and things that are difficult to embrace. The theme of needing to change, that's pretty difficult to embrace. The theme of needing to move on, needing to let go, that's something that I find very difficult to embrace. There are things that I need to let go of, though, I admit. And I do have a unfortunate inability to do this sometimes, though not from a lack of trying usually. I think that there's all of us have something that we could improve on like that. For me, at least, it is a need to move on, move on with myself and my life and my interests, because I have been caught in the past for a very long time, for quite some time. But it takes a long time to recover from depression. It's an extremely involved process. But I am grateful that you folks have given some time to all this, because this stream is quite in its infancy, but I do see a lot of potential in it. Not many just chill talking ASMRs out there, just me talking you to sleep. Trying to think about other ASMRs I could do. I've never really been one for scratching the microphone with sandpaper or something like that. That's never really been my thing. I've thought about it, but I just don't know. I just don't think it's for me. Seems a bit out of place for Cassius Mishima. But you know what? We will find our place here. We're just a tiny little pea in a big old pod, but our pea's getting bigger. Stupid. It's getting bigger though, week by week. Getting a little bigger every time. That's all you can really ask for though. And I'm sure there will come a time when there is not enough like actual time for me to respond to everybody's things that they're saying. And I've talked to Ella about this actually, because I know that this is something that just happens the more you stream, the more people want to chat, and eventually it's just so many people that you can't chat with all of them at once, even with sub mode on. It's only like a temporary fix. And I'm not sure if I'm looking forward to that day or not, because I do like having this direct input from the people that I know and care about. I have to think if it's how I'm going to manage that. And honestly, I just don't know. I just don't know. There are streamers like Co-Carnage who have the ability to highlight a message with their system coins. I thought about that, though I don't have any system coins myself to make any sort of emotes with, because we don't have like a moderator team or anything like that. But I mean, we don't need one. I'm a good enough moderator for the one bot that shows up for the first time after a month and a half of streaming. I can handle them for just the moment, but that'll get worse too. We'll get more bots, and we'll get crazy amounts of trolls that show up. But it's all right. It's all right. We'll figure it out together. It's a crazy, crazy world, but we're at Cassius at Cass Talks, we're just a little less crazy than everybody else. And if we are crazy, it's in a good way. That's the way I think about it. Just a little less crazy. And sometimes it's a good thing. Really, it is. It's a good thing to have a little bit of crazy in you, because who else would have thought up the idea of making a live stream where you just talk to your audience for a good 2 hours and read stories and stuff like that? It's a crazy idea. Certainly I have a tough time thinking that it'll be easy to make it work all the way through, but I know well enough that I have at least the skill set required to keep talking for a while, and people seem to like hearing me, so seems like a win-win. And in these early days, it'll seem kind of crazy to see things change so much, because when we started October 31st, we only had 1 average viewer. Now we have 4 average viewers. We've already grown colossally. 400% increase. It's pretty good. I'm excited. Because, just a little. Just a little excited. And, I always wonder, like, what is the rate of exponential growth on Twitch? Because even streamers that I like, sometimes they have bad nights where just almost nobody's there. And streamers that I think are really cool and have a huge following, they are constantly getting stuff, and I think that's really cool. And I'm just grateful to be in the presence of people who want to help and want to be there. That's the best I can ask for. And, I'm ready to make some friends. I think we're going to make a lot of cool friends. Though I do need to find a few more things to do during the stream, to be honest with you. Because we have the stories, we have the positivity, we have the talking, we have the good news. And this isn't really a podcast, so it's a little more specific than a podcast. And I like that it is, because I like having you folks being able to chat in with the things you'd like to say. But it is quite chill. It's quite chill. And I dig it. $2021, though. That'll be a crazy, crazy new year. Lots going on in 2021. I think about that C-Lab show, 2021. That's when they predicted that C-Lab would happen. I think we've got like a C-Lab going on somewhere in the world, right? I think I've heard of that, C-Lab. Something like that. We don't wear those crazy costumes, though. We're just in the sea, wearing our pajamas. That's a good quote, actually. There's this guy, Lobos Jr., who has this great quote system where you can type in exclamation point quote, and you'll get a quote from like the things he said throughout his streaming history. And I like that a lot, actually. That's something that I want to do, because I never intend to say things like that, but sometimes I just say them, and I like the way they sound. Looking forward to when that subscriber noise is going to be able to be played too. You guys are going to love it. The subscriber noise is mwah, it's great. It's fantastic. It deserves a chef's kiss. It took me a while to find it, though, honestly. Even though I knew what I was looking for. Exactly what I was looking for. It took me a while to find it. But it's alright. I got it in the end. What is our next word? Mist. What about spontaneous? I like that one. So, spontaneity is something I greatly enjoy. I'm quite spontaneous myself from time to time. But I like the idea of coming up with things to say at a bit of a random. Because conversation can be pretty dull sometimes, and it can be really fun to sort of just get this crazy idea out there and get things moving in the right direction. Break the ice. Of course, the ice can always be too broken. But spontaneity is something I really enjoy. And it's something that I am, hopeful for and grateful for and interested in. I am liking this new, this streaming room I've got set up right here. I can always put on new outfits too. I'm just looking forward to the changes we'll see through this thing. We'll see some changes, alright, though. We'll see some changes. I'm thinking about adding a window in the background, and thinking about adding lovely little pictures of my friends and my family on the wall. though I'm still trying to learn what kind of pictures I want to have in my life. I need to take more pictures with more friends, though. I know that much. That's something I really enjoy, is taking pictures, because I don't have the best memory, unfortunately. My memory isn't terrible, but it's not very good. So I have to rely on pictures to help me remember what things really happened and who I'm talking to and what we talked about and stuff like that. Gets me back in the mindset that I was in during that moment. And I do get sort of nostalgic over pictures. And, I try my best to take a picture a day, though I haven't been succeeding that much recently. A picture a day can be really powerful, though. Something I'd like to understand the energy and power of. I'm thinking about the kinds of videos I want to produce from now on. It's an interesting thing. Incentive. What is our incentive to keep doing this? To keep improving and doing the Cass talks? I think it's the personal growth. The power to shape your destiny and to have charge and control over things and find a balance. It's enticing. Certainly enough incentive for me to keep going. Even though, I have to admit, I've had my moments of doubt. But already we've shown that we can make a tremendous amount of difference in just a little pocket of the internet. And fortunately, I've had the pleasure of meeting other people who have felt the same way. Specifically people like... Oh, you know what? I forgot to put that in the SOS chat. I forgot. Oh well. I'll do it next time, unfortunately. I forgot this time. It's okay. I could do it now. Even though we're on the last half hour. There we go. So, I've done it now. A bit slow on the draw there, unfortunately. But it does happen sometimes where I forget to do things. Let's look at our next word. Introduction. I'd like it if someone who was introduced to this stream could start off by seeing some of our best moments. Oh. And I'd like it very much to see people understanding and enjoying the stream, from the stories to me just speaking to all sorts of interesting things going on. And the truth is, I don't know the stream where you doze off to. Okay, that's not a bad place to be. I'm still trying to find the vibe, you know? We're still looking for our vibe. And I do hope I'm getting some of you to doze off, because that's the goal, really. That's my goal, is to get as many dozers as possible, because dozing off is good. Time to relax and unwind. It's a good thing. Because you don't really get enough time like that in the world. Time to worry a little less and think a little less. It's a precious thing. It's a resource. It's a very precious resource. And I'm very grateful to, in a good way, of course. I'm grateful to give that to you, and to whoever else it helps. I like the idea that it helps people get to sleep. That's like one of my main objectives, is to help people get to sleep, because insomnia is so rampant and difficult to deal with. I feel like if I could do that, then I'd be happy with the things I've done so far. I'd be happy with it. Craftsman. Okay, that's a good one. I consider myself a craftsman. You know, I consider myself to be a artisan, an artist, and my art is helping people relax. That's what I consider to be art for me. And I think that I'm good at what I do. I don't quite have the support and recognition for my strength just yet, but that'll come. Just take some time. And a lot of hard work alongside it. Wonder. Wonder, excuse me. I think it's a real wonder that we live in a age where we can do things like streams, right? Because for some of you, I'm across the world, like literally across the world, and yet you can hear my voice and you can be affected by the things I'm saying, just as if I'm in the same room as you. It's pretty wonderful, if you ask me. And who knows what technology will look like in a few years. Even 5 years is going to be even crazier than it is now. Going to be all sorts of live stream stuff going on. And I want to be a part of that a little bit. I don't know exactly how crazy it could get, but I'm sure it could get much crazier than it is now. I mean, if it's just enough that we are enjoying ourselves and having a nice time and having more good vibes, then I don't think it could be too bad. As long as we can manage that. Because, I am one for good vibes. But I do want to keep it smooth sailing. Keep it real. Don't get too bogged down in the little minutia of technology, because it's really here to make us have a good time, and I don't want it to take away from the experience too much. So I think we got to find a good middle ground, which we will. We will. Freedom. I like that one. So, I have experienced quite a lot of, I guess you could call it injustice in my life. Injustice of being put in positions where I've been hurt, where I have not been given the proper protection. Injustices where I have not been treated properly and nothing has been done about it. Injustices where I have been forced into situations that have been bad for me. And something that has been helpful to me is to have the freedom of a thing like this, the freedom of a stream to say what I'd like to, and to relax, and to just talk. Just talk. Because that's not something that we get to have every day. It's just this relaxing, calming atmosphere. It's just sitting here by the fireplace, just enjoying ourselves. And I try to get it where I can. Freedom is pretty important. In fact, Dungeons and Dragons, altogether, something that I am very interested in, which I don't have time for at the moment, but something I'm still interested in. It's all about freedom to me. And that's something that I strive for, is to give people the freedom to do what they'd like. And I'm a fan of role-playing, but I've always been a fan of role-playing. Ever since I was maybe 11 or 12. Probably before that as well, though I can't remember exactly what I was doing. Something like that. Oh, man. Younger me got up to all sorts of stuff. I wonder what my reward will be for sticking with this. I hope that it is a number of people that are interested and enjoy it and find peace, and they find some sort of solace in these streams. Because that's really something that I would like to hear, is that people are really having a good time. I know I say this a lot, but really that's what's most important to me, is that the people are enjoying it. And I mean, I'd love to make good content. I'd love to make something that is worth being enjoyed. But if it's not something people like, then at the end of the day, I won't like it as much either. I want to give the people what they want to some respect. And I have to learn what the balance is between pleasing you folks and pleasing myself. But we know we're striking it so far. And we're evolving every episode. Sort of a new thing, honestly, this little podcast, this little stream. See, I keep calling it a podcast. It's because it is so podcast-like, but it is so unusual to the same sort of extent that I've never been to a podcast quite like this before. So it's a stream, it's its own beast. It's very strange, very abnormal, but unorthodox has always been a special thing for me. A specialty, you could say. So I'm trying to enjoy it. Yeah, we're going into the last quarter. And we're picking up. Very slowly, we're picking up. I'm glad to see that you folks have enjoyed yourselves and stayed interested as long as you have. Make sure, though, that you have some water nearby or something to drink so you can take a quick little sip. Just a little sip. Keep yourself hydrated. We don't have hydration bot yet, but we will soon. I'd like to think like a bigger streamer than I am, though thinking like that is a little difficult sometimes. Really, I just think about what would people enjoy to see on the stream, and then I try to just make that work. That's my way right now. Seems to be working out all right. And our affiliate status will be available a lot sooner than I thought it would be, considering we're already almost at 20 followers. I'm pretty hyped about that. And once we hit affiliateship, it would mean that you folks out there who really like the show can subscribe and hear the lovely subscriber noise, which I am very excited to have play at some point. I can hear it already. I might play it a few times for myself before I go to bed. It's just very, very good. But yeah. I am grateful that I've made it this far in my life. Grateful to myself. Because a lot of people never make it this far in their path to recovery. And I can only say that it has been truly a blessing to learn all of this about myself, this strength that I have, this character and personality, and it's all come to a head here in this nice little stream. It's been a good thing for me. Let's look at our next word. Novel. I have thought about writing books before. I have written some very short stories that have not been finished. And one day I'll probably either finish them or publish them as unfinished for the whatever point they're on. And I will see who wants to read them and see who wants to enjoy them and all that. Because there will be people who are interested. There will be people who are who have a liking for them and want to know more about them. And those people, I want to make sure have the best access to them that they can have. Though I don't know when that will be. I tend to do that, though. I tend to start writing something and then just lose interest and write something else. I don't have the best staying power. Not in the past, especially, but I seem to be sticking with this pretty well, so there's that. Certainly making myself have a run for my own money. Now I'm thinking about dinner. It's gonna be nice. Whatever I decide to have. Sheep. I have always thought that it would be really, really wonderful to have this sheep companion who would just sort of be there to hug and to hold and to lay my head on like a big mobile pillow. And I mean, I do think sheep are great. I think that sheep and goats are wonderful. And I really like that goats have those cool looking eyes. The goat eyes, they're very interesting. And sheep have such a, calm demeanor for the most part. I think I'd like to have an animal of some kind in my life in the near future. Something that is kind and sensitive and definitely helpful and pleasant. I've thought about getting a cat and a dog that like each other and vibe together. Oh, that reminds me. Yeah, there is the possibility of having a guest host, a person on the stream with us. That might be happening in 2021 or maybe a little sooner. I'm not sure. But before we can really confirm anything, we have to make sure that everyone who has an interest in showing up on the podcast or the stream, excuse me, my gosh, anyone has an interest in the stream, there has to be a couple of things that happen before they can really be put in the position of, having a recorded thing happen and being a part of it. And, I do have some rules before that can happen. And they're not too serious, but they exist. And I'm interested to see what people make of them when they're interested in being guests or guest hosts or anything really. Because I would like to have someone show up and, be my second person, be the other half of my my personality, whatever I take up as a personality already, be adding on to that even more. That would be great. Two is better than one in a lot of respects. And I'd like to see what that can do for us. And I'm all for the idea of having somebody who is sort of similarly demeanored to me and who is very very thoughtful and careful about what they say and do. Even though sometimes I'm not as thoughtful as I'd like to be, unfortunately. But yeah, we'll see. In the coming days, we will see. One thing that's pretty annoying about having this voice is it's very tiring on your throat because of how deep it is and how much door creak there is. That's door creak, and it just, it makes your throat tired. Honestly. But Just means I need a nap, and then I'll be able to get over it soon. I think my Second Life is freezing up. Oh no, it's not. Never mind. Just wasn't moving for me for a second. But yeah, I am really interested in having a good sort of series of guests and hosts and other people that are interested. Because, as things continue to get stronger and better, there will be people who want to show up and hang out with me, which I'm all for, honestly. I am all for. I'm interested to see who they end up being, though. Really. And sometimes it'll just be friends. Sometimes it'll be other Twitch personalities. And sometimes it'll just be like somebody who wants to spend a couple of episodes guest hosting. And maybe it'll even be another person who wants to take the reins from me and host. And I'll be the ghost host, sort of, the co-host. And, that'd be interesting to see someone else be the talker, I guess you could say. The talker in Cast Talks. That'd be interesting. That would be interesting. But yeah, I am looking forward to seeing where it goes. And to anybody who might have fallen asleep, make sure that you keep yourself nice and safe, and that you have nice, pleasant dreams. And make sure that you try your best to not be too tense, not be too worried or afraid, and not be too caught up in your day. Just let yourself go and relax. And to those of you who are starting to wake up from whatever you've been in, whatever you've been doing, just make sure that you are keeping yourself cool and comfortable, and that you are responsibly napping or taking your time for yourself. Because I can't condone irresponsible napping. Though I can condone dozing off, because that's just fun. Being caught in the interstice between being awake and falling asleep can be quite fun. I approve. Oh, well, howdy. I think something that will be also interesting is seeing the kinds of regulars that we get showing up here. Because right now, it's a fairly small crowd, but I would like to sort of become familiar with the people who show up and have an interest in listening and taking part in the stream, that sort of thing. That certainly would be interesting to me. And I think for a lot of people as well, this is sort of a novel idea, is just having someone here, just chilling and vibing for a little while. The people do talk IRL and just chatting streams all the time. I feel like this one's a little bit more like something you could just sort of find yourself relaxing to and losing track of time and losing track of self, and almost find meditative. Certainly something I'd be interested in evoking in people, as I've said before. And as well as that, there is a lot of room to be improved on and to grow. And my ASMR, as I've been told by a few people, has improved as well. which is something that I'm grateful that I've been able to improve in, right? Because I, for a while, wasn't really sure if I was going to be able to. Because I have done some very incredible stuff in my time. Drop of Water being one of them. I'm very proud of that. And I'd like to very much be into I'd like to be further into the whole thing as time goes on as well. And I don't know how much better I can become, honestly. But I certainly can try to keep going. Thank you, Kingslayers, excuse me, for following. I missed your follow, my bad. It's great to have you, though. I hope you enjoy the content. And we're getting into the last 10 minutes of our stream here pretty soon. Let's see, do I have my alert box? Yeah, my alert box is active. Okay. I just won't worry about it for a little while. But yeah, you know, we're moving around and moving up, going slow, taking it easy. It's the best thing we can hope for at the moment. All right, let's go on to our next word. Precision. That's a good one. Being precise and being specific, you know, there's a lot of power to that, because I try to be as helpful and precise as I can be, which, you know, it works sometimes and sometimes it doesn't. But an interesting thing to think about is how helpful you can be with how as few words as possible, right? To know somewhat what the right thing to say to be putting someone in a better way or a better position might be. And it's a good thing sometimes, you know, to be able to concisely and thoroughly and thoughtfully put your feelings into words. That's something I value. I'm really into that myself. So I think that that's something to put a lot of effort into. But that goes into role playing as well, which I also am a huge fan of. Oh, this video is going to have to be split up into two parts. The first, 15 minutes, and then which is going to be some mishmash of a few parts, I bet. And then it's going to be this longer stretch. Interesting. Yeah, we're in the last 10 minutes now. So what that means is we're all going to make sure that we're prepared to say goodbye, and that we're enjoying ourselves and enjoying sort of getting back into the groove of things, and either getting ready to go to bed or getting ready to wake up from our dozing. Whichever you are, just make sure that you are prepared for whatever lies ahead, and that you are grateful for the time you've had to take it easy, at least for right now. And, what I can really say is that you guys are really making this fun. Talking in chat and being helpful to me and showing up and showing your support. I can't ask for much more than that. I think that there will be a lovely point when we get to, I don't know, either, who knows how long, maybe 30, maybe 50, one of those, where we will look back on these earlier episodes and just take some time to review them and see, how far we've come since episode 7 or 6. And I'm looking forward to that. I really am. It's crazy to think about. And I do hope that we'll go far. So something else that we can think about is we can think about the things that we want to have happen in the next stream. So in our next stream, it might be good if we, had our little stream room have a few more things in that, like a window or a Christmas tree, because it'll be much closer to Christmas in 7 days, much closer. We could think about how we could have some presents under there. We could have a lovely little snow drift going down the front of the window. Yeah, that's a good addition right there. It's a good theme. And I think now is a good time to say that we have had a successful episode 7. You guys have been really great, and I've enjoyed your company. I'm grateful that you've shown up once again, and I'm glad that we've had this time together. However, our time is quickly coming to an end, and I hope that you are either able to have a great day from here on out, or would you happen to be kin to Corpse Husband? Because your voice is mad deep. I've heard about Corpse Husband, but I am actually not aware of that completely, what that is. I'm not sure which one of us has a deeper voice, but I am interested to figure out, sort of, because that's not the first time that comparison has been made. But yeah, we're coming to the end, so make sure that you are, ready to enjoy the rest of your day, and make sure that you are also interested in thinking about, either subscribing to the YouTube channel or following on Twitch, doing one of those things. And thank you guys for coming. Thank you very much for being here and supporting me. And the amount of women that would pay for you to read them a lullaby. It's true, but we gotta get there first. We gotta take our time. Well, thank you guys for being active in chat, and thank you for coming. We're going to be getting the end slide here in about 1.5 minutes, maybe 2 minutes. And, the best thing you can do if you want to support me is you can link the stream and let people know that we're here and that we're hanging out. And we'll be here next week at the same time, 7:30 Central Standard Time, which is 5:30 SLT and 5:30 somewhere else, I'm sure. Oh, thank you. have a wonderful night, Ella, though I'll probably talk to you here in a little bit. Yeah, you all make sure that you get to sleep, do your day, have a great time, and stay safe. See you again soon.